suppose I want you to solve this inequality, x plus 2, so x plus 12, times x minus 5, divided by x minus 1. Okay? This is greater than or equal to 0. So here I'm giving you a fraction, already factored form. I factored numerator, factored denominator. This is prime factor, prime factor, prime factor. So it's very, very easy. You don't have to do any processing or pre-processing. If you have anything on the other side, then you should really bring this here. Because the main idea is that I want to know this expression, is it positive or negative? So positive or negative means bigger than or smaller than 0. So you have to have 0 here. If you don't have 0, you cannot continue. So if you have anything, you have to bring it to the other side. And when you bring it to the other side, it will come as added or subtracted term. You still have to have a common denominator and make it all one big fraction like this. Okay, so you have to have this form. You can have many factors up or many factors down. Okay, but it still has to be one fraction. This is a rational inequality. Okay, now how do I solve this rational inequality? There's two steps. I need to get the zeros. Two steps in the beginning. The zeros is when this x plus 12 times x minus 5 equal to 0. And there is also, undefined values, undefined, points when this x minus 1 equal to 0. So one come from the numerator being 0, and one come from the denominator being 0. The first one you know already, okay, that means x equal to minus 12 or 5. And the second one, that means x equal to 1. Okay, so I have these two different types of critical points, and these critical points, the sign of this expression will change. Yani before it can be positive, after become negative. Okay? Sometimes it doesn't change, but usually it changes around these critical points. Minus 12, 5, and 1. So let us see what will happen to the sign of this expression before and after these critical points. So to do this, we need to have, a graph on the real line. So let me just graph this on the real line. 1 will be almost here, and 5 is here, and minus 12 is here. And the minus 12 and 5, they are actually zeros, while the 1 is an undefined value. And it makes the expression undefined. So far, this graph, is it clear what it means to everyone? Any question about that? We did this before with the quadratic inequality. Now, I need to make this point everywhere. I need to make this point here, 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 and here, in every region, before and after these critical values. So if you choose, for example, suppose you want to test, minus 12. Test minus 12. Okay? In this case, you need to substitute in the inequality itself, the original inequality. So if this is minus 12, imagine this is minus 12, and this is minus 12, and this is minus 12. Okay? This will be, this bracket here will become negative, because it will be minus 1, which is negative, right? And this would be also negative, and this will also be negative. So you have a negative multiplied by negative divided by negative. What will be the answer then? Positive or negative? You have negative multiplied by negative, and then you divide by negative. This is positive now, up. Up is positive, but down you're dividing by negative, so the whole thing will be negative. Okay, so the whole thing will be negative. So that means what? That means I have this region here. This region here is negative. Same thing, you continue. Make a small test here, okay, with a value between minus 12 and 1, which I choose 0, for example. It's between minus 12 and 1. And imagine you're putting 0, everywhere, here, here, and here. If you're putting 0 here, here, and here, this will be positive, this will be negative, and this will be negative. So positive times negative divided by negative, the answer will be positive. Okay, the answer will be positive. So I go back now and make this here, a big positive. So this will, and you can continue like this. You discover you're having a negative here and positive here. So this is now the sign of the expression for all the values of x. For all the values of x. This rational expression that was given in the question in the beginning, this rational expression, this is its sign for all values of x. It can be positive, can be negative. depends on the value of x. So this is the value of x here, okay, and this is the expression here, okay. So now, what is the question? What does the question want? Does the question want to be positive or negative? Look at the question. The question is asking for greater than or equal to 0. I want this to be greater than 0. So that means positive. That means positive. Or 0. So both are accepted. Positive or 0. So you go back to this chart, ask yourself, when is it positive or 0? Here it's positive, right? Here is positive, okay? Here is 0, and here is 0. That's it. So this is the answer. We look at the 0 or the positive based on the question. Okay, how do you write this as interval notation? Of course, if you want to graph this completely, you need to have an open circle here. If you want to write this as interval notation, you can basically write from minus 12 to 1, and this is bracket here, while this is a parenthesis because it's open end, union of another interval, which is from 5 to infinity. Yeah, from 5 to infinity, and always infinity and positive infinity is open-ended. So this is now interval notation. This is interval notation. Okay? Now what else? You can write also this as inequality if you want. You can write this also as inequality. So let's try to write this as inequality. I can write this as from that x is between minus 12 and 1, and this is closed end, that's why there's equal. Remember, in compound inequality, the small value has to be in the left, the big one on the right, and that's how you write the inequality sign. This is union, or actually you say or. In this case, we don't use union, we just use or. So we can say or that x is greater than or equal to 5, because it's going to be bigger than 5, means from 5 to infinity. So that's how you can write the answer as inequality. This is now becoming inequality. Okay, and initially I did the graph. So this is a graph here. Okay, so you can write the answer as a graph, this green one, or you can write it as interval notation, or you can write it as inequality. Any question about any of these forms of the answers?
From undefined.
Yeah. The undefined, you have to leave it open, because we never want the undefined. At this point, I made a mark undefined in the beginning because I want to make sure I avoid this in the solution. I never want this to be part of the answer. 0 is okay, but the undefined, no.
How does it be open?
That's why it has to be open, yeah. It's open already, see? This bracket here means open. See that? There's no equal. It's already open. That's how you make it open. No, you don't put equal, and you don't make this bracket. You make it parentheses. That's how you make it open. Okay? Clear?